Howdy, guys. My name is Attorney Walter, if not the third. And what we're going to be doing today is a little bit unusual for what we traditionally do. We're going to be going over some of the future things that are going up. But first, as always, we're going to be doing these sponsors. So first and foremost, I've been working there for 7, now going on 8 years. Wow, wow, wow. That's a law firm that I started a while back, and now I've been working, and it's been very successful, and I'm happy, blah, blah, blah. Let's go to the next one. This is a company that I've been working at. The idea I had a couple of years ago when it was absolutely crazy, but now it's becoming more and more and more of a commonplace thing, which is just amazing. So spaceconstitution.com, if you ever get a chance to click over there and you want to add a freedom that people might or should be able to have, go ahead and check it out. The website is pretty much done at this point. We're just doing the fine little finagling and things like that. Howdy, guys. Jane Doe, how you doing? American, what is it, Pesa 2? Hello there. Howdy, howdy. Very good. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, Leanne, howdy, howdy. Very good to see you. What we're going to be doing today is usually I run questions with people in the fashion where I do not directly address the custom impairment-based questions that I use. And I do that because most of the people who call in essentially need the basics. They don't even know what the top 5 are. They don't even know what the basics of their medication are. But today we're actually going to be doing a little bit differently. So for anybody that wants to call in, I'm going to run it as if I would run it with my claimants. Now, my claimants, they've already been working away, and they've already watched a bunch of videos. They've already watched, so they're pretty good. And we're starting to get people on this channel calling in who are very good, which is excellent. But with that said, I'd like to now change it and start to actually treat them like I would before a hearing. Howdy, Eddie. Howdy, SRT. Howdy, howdy. So one of the, I'm going to put the phone number up there, and just to give you guys a heads up, Cheyenne right now is at a I'm not sure if it's a varsity or one of those other types of things, but she's at a basketball game with her kids. So if you're wondering where she is, she may pop in. She's got her cell phone, so she can always go ahead and click in. Actually, right now, let me go ahead and send her a text. That way she's aware that we are live. Let me do that right now. We are live. Perfect. And there she is saying howdy to everybody. There you go. Boom. Howdy, howdy. That's her. All right. So hopefully she'll be able to go ahead and click in. I know she is at a basketball game right now. She's actually wearing a face mask for a fabric that I gave her. Yeah. So pretty cool. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about kind of what I'm going to be doing with this channel. I know a lot of people like to ask me questions outside of this system. And basically what that equates to is I always tell people nowadays to go ahead and go with me live on this so that I can answer questions, help the general community and things like that. Now, we are starting to get people who are used to the basic questions. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but with all the other videos out there, people were not getting how to approach these hearings based upon the tough nitty-gritty little questions that are the standards. And I've been giving you guys the standards. If this was a ballad, if this was a classic rock song, those are the standard questions. I'd now like to change it over to be more focused on specifically the medical conditions that people have and go into detail a little bit more about what the statutes require and go into detail a little bit more about the trick questions that come from those. I feel like, to be fair, you guys have evolved to the point where you've now got a better understanding of what happens with these hearings, which is excellent. The big focus now should be to go ahead and notch it up to the next step. And here's the idea behind it. We got the basics down for how hearings work, or maybe we don't. Maybe I need to work on the structure of that because somebody got on me the other day about what happens after the hearing. And I'll go into that a little bit more too, because a lot of people don't understand that when you're found disabled, that, by an administrative law judge, that doesn't automatically mean that you are going to get disability benefits. You still have to do that pre-effectuation interview. So I'll go through that a little bit, but and then we'll kind of go from there. There she is. Perfect. So what that means, essentially, I'd like to go ahead, now that we have the basics of the hearing questions down, I'd like to raise it to the specific medical conditions that you have and what the statute is actually looking for from them, and then how you can do a better job giving testimony for your specific medical condition. I feel like we've made it to that, and I think that's good. We'll kind of ease into it. I'm not going to hit you guys real hard with that stuff with people calling in, but I think the bottom line is I think that's the right direction. Okay, so okay, so Jane Doe, 25 minutes. That is not totally out of the realm, but that's not a good sign. That either means one of two things, meaning the judge Well, let me ask you this, Jane Doe, were you represented? Did you have an attorney? Because non-attorney claimants, they tend to be considered what's called rocket dockets, which means they just zoop, go right through and they're real quick because that's only the judge asking you questions. There's no cross-examination. So the focus is we've got the basics of the classic templatized hearing questions. We are now going to work on the medical custom questions based upon your condition. And then we are going to work on higher level technique, trial technique, things like that. And then we're going to be working on higher level appellate preparation. That's kind of the goal here. That's what I would like us to move as a group in structuring our knowledge base and approaching these higher levels. And the reason why is there's enough of the videos out there. And I know each week you get a new one as the top 200 hearing questions on AOQ's building. But the whole idea is I would like to continue building this towards a higher level of understanding. Now, I want to just take one moment, and then I'm going to open the phone up for people to call in and things like that. I would like just to go back to the origin. 7 years ago, I bought a plastic resin, one of those gray ones. And the reason I remember it so well is that I recently went to one of the homeless facilities where the fold-out table is still in use. They use it because I don't use that one anymore. I use this other one. That's a nicer one. And the bottom line is this table was what I used to go and work with homeless people. And how that evolved was that different groups, church groups, homeless help groups, government groups, corporations, they noticed this. And they said, okay, Walter, we want you to come and go ahead and work with us and use your program and increase things and yada, yada, yada. So it was good. I started to do seminars with the local Orange County Library. And I want to tell you some of the things that I learned from that. When I worked with the Orange County Library, I realized that many people had no friggin' clue how this system worked. They didn't have any understanding about it. There were so many things that were wrong that they thought this is how it worked. Even some of the things I thought were correct. I went and looked them up later and I was like, holy cow, I think attorneys are doing this wrong. And they were, some of them were wrong. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to shed light on at some point those things like I did in the very beginning, my origin story, those things that we do them this way, but the law is this. And I'm not always saying the law is better than the way we do it, but I want to point out to you guys the big differences, the huge differences between essentially what we do for simplicity and what the law is actually supposed to be. I know I'm off in the weeds with this thing and I get it, but remember, this is a field I'm doing every single day. I'll be working after I do this today. Okay. All right. So let's see. My attorney said it went well. Just going back to Jane Dover here. They didn't have jobs for me after the hypotheticals. All right. So that's good. That usually means that the judge believes that you can probably grid out. So Jane Doe, how old are you? Let me put that in. Jane Doe, how old are you? Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I don't have anybody lined up to call me because of the whole, me not doing it last week. And I don't know who's prepared to call me and yada, yada. But I'm going to put here the phone number so that anybody that wants to call in, I'll go ahead and run the questions with them like normal. But I want to do it a little bit differently this time. And I want to actually use the techniques I use with my claimants. Now, my claimants are usually a little bit farther down the field with knowledge than a lot of regular people are when it comes to this stuff because they're constantly learning and educating themselves and I'm feeding them information and things like that. So the big thing is this. Howdy, Lily the Great. My big focus is this. I would like to take us to the next level. It might be too much. It might be too little. I don't know. You'll have to let me know. But yes, I just got a giant beard cut. Thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see. I'm just checking through any comments. Okay, cool. All right. I want to talk about another thing that's happening in the disability field while I'm waiting for somebody to call in. The biggest threat to Social Security disability benefits, right? So a lot of you guys are like, oh, are they going to take away our money? How is COVID going to change it? The biggest threat is not COVID. It's not a lack of funds. The biggest threat to Social Security disability benefits has to do actually with your obtaining of medical records. Buying medical records has become more and more difficult. And the reason for that is that basically one of the largest groups, SIACs out there, had a lawsuit against HHS, which is your government's Health and Human Services. They're the group that oversees all of this stuff from the government side. And HHS lost that lawsuit. And they lost that lawsuit because basically they weren't sure in the very beginning of it what their arguments were. And then when they finally got their arguments down, they weren't able to go ahead and connect with the judge, and they weren't able to go ahead and really hit the ball on that one. The point is, claimants, when you want to go buy your records, it's cheap. It's not as cheap as it was a couple of years ago, but it's still pretty cheap, and it makes sense because medical records should be available for you. Let's say that any of you that have it go through a CDR, continuing disability review. Lily the Gray, finally have a hearing in February 24th. Yeah, so Lily, if you want to, here, you can call in and I'll run hearing questions with you. So what happens is this. Basically, when it comes to medical records, it's much more expensive for a third party, whether it's an insurance company, a law firm, an administrative group, a corporate group, to buy your records. It's at $1 per page. And a lot of you guys, when you go to a hearing, have around, I would say, 600 to 1,000 pages. And what that means is that, if the SSA is buying your records at the initial filing and reconsideration levels, they're only paying $16 per facility that they're buying from. However, what that means is that if an attorney is buying them, let's say that the attorney has to buy around 800 pages of records, that attorney is putting it at $800. And then after you're found disabled, you have to then pay back that attorney the $800. Not a great deal, I know. Now, if the person were to request the records themselves and have the records be sent to them, it would be anywhere from $6 to $10 for a lot of the records because it comes on a disc or a little USB thingy or whatever. However, when a law firm buys those records, it's $1 per page. They'll even charge them incorrectly to send them digitally to them as opposed to paper. So this is what's happening. The biggest threat to your Social Security disability benefits is going to be in the future, your ability to purchase records. And here's why. The reason it's so tough to get records now is that the judges have not been aggressive enough with submitting subpoenas to punish those medical groups for not sending those records into the attorneys or even the courts, the judges. And so what's happened now is those medical groups, those PSYOXs and things like that, have become emboldened. Oh yeah, this always happens, but they never ever do anything. They never ever do anything. And so the judges have not held up their kind of side of things, which is to threaten these medical groups by giving out subpoenas and then, restrictions and things like that, and fining them. And what's happened now is these medical groups are not feeling the fire of having to go ahead and follow the law. This is a problem. So let's talk about that really quickly, and then I'll read through over here. Let's see what they're saying. SRT have been to doctors about every day for the test appointment the last 2 weeks. They found a lump of mine. Left now I had to go for ultrasound, CT scan. Yeah, for a couple. So that really worried me when you were telling me about that, and you kind of know exactly what I was thinking about that. Because that is more than textbook. That is like, generations of textbooks as to what that equals. So that definitely did scare me, because you're an amazing person. I do not want that to be what it sounds like it is. However, I will say this: there are a lot of specialty hospitals out there that are doing what it would be considered 5 years ago to be magic. So albeit it would have been 20 years ago, if that is what you think it is and what I think it is, it would have been a death sentence. But they're doing a lot of great things. Not only to mention Israel, the leader in medicine, has now been able to cure a lot of unique cancers. And the big thing, too, is they've learned how to rebuild the genetic strand caps on your genetic material using oxygen and chambers. So they've actually figured out some way. And I mean, you could look at it this way. You could not look at it this way. But Israel, through their medical, procedures and practices, has actually figured out how to, I guess you could call it de-age somebody, which is to take their DNA strand and rebuild them, which is crazy, which is amazing and crazy because it doesn't take that much to do it. It's not like a whole big thing. If you read the scientific journal on it, it's not like out of the world expensive. Like you can't buy one of the devices you need, but you could get a prescription for one and then buy it and use it. And you could actually do what they said they were capable of doing, which is essentially to de-age by taking that DNA strand and going ahead and rebuilding the caps on it and things like that. All right, so let's go up here. I just want to see, Chris C said, "Hi, Walter. It's pseudo NV. Nice to see you tonight. Howdy, how you doing? Eddie Mercado, my status went from ALJ review to medical decision made, processing your decision. Your thoughts? Thanks. So, I mean, that's simple. That's basically, so ALJ review. All right, so I'll walk you through what the steps are of ALJ review. You go to your hearing, you finish your hearing. Let's say there's no open record. Like, we're not submitting additional documents. We're not, we don't need to find something. We don't have to figure something. It's record's closed. We're done. Now it goes to the writer. So all that stuff, the audio recording of the hearing, all of the evidence, all the judge's notes, the judge hands all of that over to the writer. Who's a writer? A writer in the SSA is an attorney who basically sits there all day and writes the briefs for the judges. Now, the judges direct the writer as to which way they want this thing to go. And let me explain what that means, because a lot of people think they just go like this or this. That's not how it goes. What they do is they direct the writer based upon whether it's a denial, they're keeping the alleged onset date as it is, or they're amending the alleged onset date. Now, sometimes the judges will have to go back and read it and think about it and what they want to send to the writer. But ultimately, what it comes down to is, are they going to go ahead and deny the claim? Are they going to go ahead and change the alleged onset date to do a partially favorable, or are they going to approve it from the alleged onset date that they have? A lot of people who do not have attorneys, whether it's me or somebody else, if they're going to approve it, a lot of them get stuck with what's called a partially favorable. And I'll explain that real quick, and then I'll go back to the rest of your question. Okay, so a lot of these people don't know what an alleged onset date is. God, and that's such a bummer for me. That's such a pain in the butt, because every hearing I've got to explain to people, what is an alleged onset date? And it's not just my claimants, it's all claimants. Doesn't matter if they came from another firm and they signed up with me. Doesn't matter. Nobody knows what this alleged onset date is. The alleged onset date is not what people think it is. A lot of people are like, oh, this is when I became severely disabled. This is when I'm alleging that I became really bad. That's not actually it. It is when you became severely disabled under the rules and regulations of the Social Security Administration, which means that we have a giant blanket rule there, okay, under their rules. That means you can't have any jail or prison or penal stuff that violates when the AOD can be. That means you can't have earnings that violate when the AOD can be. That means you can't have any age restriction problems with potential grid outs. There's all kinds of things. And so what's tough about it is there's no, and I should create it. I don't know why I haven't created it yet. I started to create it, but I never finished it. And that's so much of what I do. I have all these ideas and I never get to finish them. But the bottom line is, you could potentially grid out, or, to create a grid as to what an alleged onset date should be. You've got to consider the MRIs. Oh, I'm getting a call right now. Hold on. Okay. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. How can I help you? Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and put you on speaker. Give me one moment. Excellent. Now, what we're going to do is, remember, don't use your real name throughout this process. Also, as we go through it, I'm going to ask you personal information like, birthday, stuff like that. Try to make up a fake one that's, close to the one you have to make it easier on you. And now, when is your hearing again?
Okay, my hearing is going to be at 8:30 in the morning on the February 24th.
All right, February 24th. All right, so we've got a couple of months, but we're around the corner. First off, I always like to ask people, are you represented?
Yes, I am represented.
Excellent. Has this attorney already run questions with you?
No, not yet, but they have called me and told me that they were going to run questions when it gets closer, I guess, to the date, and they were going to call me maybe before the hearing.
Sure.
So
excellent.
I guess a little bit closer when it gets a little bit closer.
Very good. I'm pleased to hear that. A lot of people, they don't even know what's going on. So this is a good sign. Now, with that said, have you already started to practice? And what I'm really getting at is, can I be a little bit tougher on you? Or is this one of those things where this is your first time through the park?
You can be tougher on me because I want to be prepared when I go in there, because it's I'm not going in there, but it's a telephonic hearing. and I want to be a little bit more, I guess, ready. So if like those trick questions or anything like that come about, I'll be a little bit, not as anxious.
Okay. So you have some basic training is what you're saying.
A little bit, just a little bit.
All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this as if I would do it with one of my claimants. And this is different than what I normally do. So if this is getting too aggressive for you, tell me to stop, and then we'll go back to kind of more of the platonic, relaxed questions.
Okay.
Perfect. Madame, go ahead and state your fake name for the record.
Lily the Great.
Okay. What's your date of birth, current age, and are you left or right-handed?
My fake date of birth would be I guess August, April 1st, April Fool's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 1988. I'm 32.
32 years old. Okay, excellent. Can you walk me through what are your top 5 most severe impairments?
My severe impairments are major depressive disorder,
Mm-hmm.
PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
agoraphobia, I think is how you say it, or agoraphobia or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and panic disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, it was major depressive disorder.
Mm-hmm.
I have arthritis in my left foot. I had surgery on that. I have arthritis in there in my foot. It's not that one's not too much that one's not like a top 5, but more of my mental disorders are more of my issue. But those I do have some problems, and I do have chronic lumbar pain, which I have back issues, but it's not as I wouldn't say severe, but my mental disorders are a little bit more of my how you say it, more of problematic for me.
Okay. All right. So real quick, that was all over the place. Normally, if we were doing this like we do traditionally online, I would just let it slide and we'd keep going. We're going to do this like how I do it with my claimants. Run it again. What are your top 5 most severe impairments? I need it smooth, and I need to be able to hear it clearly.
Okay. PTSD, major depressive disorder. I have chronic panic disorder.
Mm-hmm.
I have depression.
Mm-hmm.
I have agoraphobia.
Mm-hmm.
And I have chronic, I'm not chronic pain, but I have pain due to depression and the side effects with that. I guess with also surgery I had in my foot, so I guess I have arthritis in my foot, but that's, like I said, not too big of a concern, and that's it.
Okay. Do you feel that those were good bullet points?
No.
No. Run it again. What are the top 5 most severe impairments? I want to hear number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5.
Okay. A major depressive disorder, PTSD, panic disorder, agoraphobia, and chronic lumbar pain, back pain.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, excellent. Which is the most severe of all those?
My PTSD and my panic disorder.
Out of those 2, which is the most severe?
PTSD.
Okay, excellent. I need you to walk through this. What are the top 5 most severe impairments? Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Make it simple for the judge. Here we go.
All right, so what am I supposed to do again?
Top 5 most severe impairments.
Okay, so PTSD, agoraphobia, panic disorder, major depressive disorder, depression, and chronic lumbar pain. That was 6. Okay, I think.
Okay.
So
All right.
The 5 just cut out the current pain.
Okay. You notice how your voice is all over the place and you're kind of jumping in, jumping out, jumping in, jumping out? That is you not sure what to put in, and you're trying to remember what ones you've already said. Now, we're going to slow it down. I want you to say one and then wait 3 seconds, and then say one and then wait 3 seconds. Give me the top 5, slow it down. What are the top 5 most severe impairments?
Okay. PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Major depressive disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Agoraphobia.
Mm-hmm.
What did I say?
You missed panic disorder. Let's start again. Number 1.
Okay. Panic disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Major depressive disorder.
Mm-hmm.
PTSD. And agoraphobia. I say 5.
Did you?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. How do you feel you're doing right now?
Horrible.
Okay, that is correct.
Very,
And that's okay. That's good. That means that we are accepting how we're doing. We get some people on here who believe that they are God's gift to creation and that they cannot screw up. You are ahead of the game. So realize, feel good. You're doing better than most people right now. Okay.
Okay, I wrote it down so I can try it again. I wrote it down.
Okay. Top 5 most severe impairments. Slow it down because I'm going to speed it up and then hit you with some tough questions. Go ahead.
Okay. PTSD, panic disorder, agoraphobia, major depressive disorder, and my chronic lumbar pain.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Chronic lumbar pain. Can you explain to me how long have you had that?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
So help me out with this. How long have you had the musculoskeletal issues?
I had surgery back in, it would be 2014. So about 6 years. But I had the surgery and I had a boot on my foot.
Mm-hmm.
I had to wear the Velcro boot for about a month or 2, and then I had to get the regular shoe, and I had crutches. And I had, and then, a little bit later, like I still had the pain, but I didn't have to use, it was my discretion if I wanted to use the shoe or not, or just pretty much not like really try to stay off of it and let it heal. And I did, and I'm not having too much problems, but I still have it. I have a screw in my foot, so I still have a little bit of problems sometimes with the arthritis, and sometimes when it gets cold, or if I stand on it too long, I will have a little bit of pains, but it's not like a top severity.
So this is like more of a mild thing compared to the other ones.
Compared to the other ones, it's more of a mild because pretty much I have it. Besides when I had the surgery and going back and getting pain medicine for it. Other than that, I haven't really done too much else with the surgery that I had, because I've had I was hospitalized, and more of my mental problems were more concerning to me than my foot.
Why would you ever admit to the administrative law judge that you have a mild impairment?
No, I shouldn't. I did not admit that to them. I never admit that to them. I just I'm explaining to you, but I didn't explain, I didn't admit to them that it was mild. I did tell them that I had that issue, but I didn't say it was mild or anything like that. But if they look at it in their eyes, I haven't had actual recent treatment for that issue. It was back in 2014.
So who mentioned it
that's why
was
I was saying
mild?
before, like,
Was it you or me?
me.
No, it was me. I mentioned it was mild because I was tricking you to go ahead and say that something was not something that should be considered, and then you validated it by saying it was mild, and then you continued to explain why it was only mild.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that.
Perfect.
I
We've moved the chess piece forward. Let's go ahead and continue. So now that trick is putting words in your mouth. Do not let them describe the severity of your pain as anything less than severe, because you will agree with them. They're a judge in front of you and you're going to be nervous. If they say your impairment is anything less than severe, then they're trying to qualify something and get you to validate it. Okay?
Okay, so I'm not going to let, pretty much if they ask me about that, I am going to say I still have problems with it, which I do. At times I really do have problems with it, with, if I'm standing too long, or like, if it would just sometimes just bother me, and I'd be like, I don't know what the reason is. It would just might bother me, and like inflammation, it might swell up sometimes, and I just, have to take some pain medicine for it. But I guess just pretty much don't let them say it's more mild.
What are the top 5 most severe? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, aren't they going to ask me, like, when I had treatment for it and everything, and how come I haven't seeked out more treatment if it was, if it was that severe?
Yeah, you bet. You bet. Absolutely. But your job is to shape the testimony while you're in there. Just giving testimony is not good enough. You're too young.
Okay.
It's too easy to deny you.
Yeah.
You have to shape your testimony.
Okay.
Okay, walk me through this. So let's go back to the first question, because this time we're going to master it. We're going to master this question so we can go on to tougher ones. What are your top 5 most severe impairments?
Okay. PTSD, panic disorder, agoraphobia, major depressive disorder, and chronic lumbar pain.
What is more severe? What is the most severe impairment out of all of those?
I would say it's my panic disorder along with my PTSD.
Okay, walk me through this. What's the panic disorder and the PTSD? Now, I don't want to hear 2. I want to hear 1. What is your number 1?
PTSD.
Excellent. What's more severe, PTSD or arthritis?
PTSD.
Okay. Now, help me out with this. The PTSD, I want to explain something to you about how you should approach answering this question, because people are not sure about it. There's no videos online or even descriptive, like, little stories on any websites for any attorneys about how to answer this question. When I say to you, can you give me a timeline of your impairment? I'm not asking for your life story. Okay, that's going to bore the judge.
Okay.
The judge doesn't need all of that. What the judge is looking for is what happened before it, how you were stable. Your Honor, I was fine until, then give the beginning.
All right.
This happened. Then give the now, where you're at right now with it, and then give the expectation of where you believe you will be with it in the future. And do this in 2 sentences. Before, beginning, now, future. So explain to me, give me a timeline for your PTSD.
Okay. My timeline was around 2014, and it extended to a few years, 2014, and it extended a little bit into 2018, where I was in a very bad relationship, and I was physically abused, and I had to go to the hospital for head injury, where I needed to get stitches, where I was abused, and I needed about 7 stitches in my forehead, And about this was another time where I was abused, and it's still insane within the next few years. But I also needed to get 6 stitches above my left eye. So I've had trauma with the abuse that I occurred over the years, and pretty much dealing with flashbacks. And I got out of that relationship when I had to, in 2018, I was hospitalized. So I was actually able to get out of that relationship because from the hospitalization that I was inpatient, I was hospitalized inpatient for a month. And from there, I went to a domestic abuse shelter.
Okay, let's go through this real quick. You were supposed to give me the before, the beginning, the now, and the future in 2 sentences. How many sentences did you give me?
Probably like 6.
Okay. Do you feel that you could summarize that better?
I can try.
We're going to use bullet points. Number 1, I'd like you to tell me how you were before the PTSD.
Well, before I was working, before the PTSD, I was able to work. I was in the Army. I was in the Army National Guard for 3 years. And this was before any of my PTSD, before I got into the really bad physical abusive relationship. I was able to, work, and I can work like a steady job, and I was able to deal with people. But, after having, dealing with the PTSD, I just become unable to do so.
I want you to give me a total of 4 to 5 words to describe how you were before you had PTSD. 4 to 5 words, that's all you've got. Go ahead.
Okay. Before I was relaxed, calm, outgoing. My anxiety wasn't like an issue. I was able to it's 4 or 5 words. So let's just go with calm, relaxed, and didn't have like really bad anxiety.
You were working, you had hobbies, you had strong relationships, you were happy, correct?
Correct.
Excellent. I want you to tell me those things. Before you had PTSD, what were you like? No ums. I want a straightforward, bullet point oriented sentence. Go ahead.
Okay. Happy, hobby oriented, good relationships with friends and family, and relaxed.
And you were working.
And I was working.
Perfect. Cut it off there. No more, no less. Cut it off there. Keep it simple. The judge does not need a string of stories. Number 2, the beginning. 5 words. Describe what happened with the PTSD in the beginning. 5 words only.
In the beginning, I would not be able to go around 5 words. Okay. I was having problems with sleep. I was having problems being around people. I was having flashbacks. I isolated myself, and my anxiety got extremely worse.
Okay. All right. I need it a little bit smoother. I want to hear specifically what caused it. The beginning, that's your origin story. 5 words. Cut it down. Make it simple. Summarize. Go ahead.
Okay. What caused it was physically abusive, being physically abused, and for about...
Being physically abused how?
Being physically abused by getting hit, being abused by being hit in the head and having to get stitches. It was a long line of abuse. I would get choked and
were the police involved?
Black eyes. The police got involved, and he for a long time I never reported it. for a long time I didn't report it because I was scared, and that I was in a relationship and I had nowhere to go, so I didn't report it for a long time. But when I had a mental breakdown and went to the hospital, I did report some of the abuse that, and he did get locked up and he did go to jail.
Excellent. I need you to go and obtain your police report. That involves you knowing which county it happened in and what year it happened in. Go obtain the police report with that. Go hand it to your attorney and make sure that they submit it to the ERE. So police report, you need the county, year, submit it into the ERE. Okay?
Okay, ERE. How we write it down?
Yeah.
All right. So submit to ERE. What does that stand for?
ERE is the Electronic Records Express.
Okay.
Yeah, the attorney will know what the ERE is. You don't even have to know what the ERE is, but the bottom line is you need to obtain that police report because that is your cornerstone for proving that you were an abuse victim in a physical relationship. And that's important because it gives the beginning timeline. So they'll be able to say, okay, 14F equals this. That's when she began. That's the proof that shows that you are a physically abused person, not just saying that.
Yeah. Well, when I went to the hospital, and like I said, it was on separate occasions where I needed to have 7 stitches in my forehead. And then on another time, I went to the hospital and I needed to have about 6 stitches on my left eye because of him forcefully punching me in the head with an object. And I needed to get stitches.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like multiple times. But when that was happening, I went to the emergency room, and like I said, I was at the time that I was scared, and I was in that relationship and didn't make the police report. But I had, like I said, years later, I had reported some of the abuse to the police.
Okay, so that was good, but that was all information you've told us before. Remember, when you're in that hearing, you're not repeating information. The judge is just going to get frustrated if they keep hearing the same thing over and over and over again. So you got to keep it so that you remember what you told the judge and only bring it back if it's absolutely necessary to create a reference point. So we've done before. We've done beginning of our timeline for PTSD. Now, tell me what it's like now. Only 5 words. That's what you're limited to. Only 5 words. Go ahead.
Okay. Overwhelming. Severe, like flashbacks and anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Very like startled. I get very easily startled, easily frightened. Depressed. I've been pretty depressed about. I can't sleep. I have problems sleeping. I have insomnia where I won't be able to sleep, and it'll be for I can not sleep for maybe a whole day, or if I get broken up sleep, it's very hard for me to sleep.
Okay, I want to help you out a little bit. PTSD is broken into 2 types of things. Those are when you're sleeping, nightmares, and when you're awake, flashbacks. You're going to use nightmares and flashbacks right now. So can you describe for me 5 words? You've been breaking that every single time, but now I'm holding you to it. I'm going to cut you off because the judge will cut you off in the hearing if you keep, just going on and going on and going on. You get 5 words. I want to hear flashbacks. I want to hear nightmares. I want to hear you can't work. I want to hear you have lost your hobbies. And I want to hear about your ruined relationships. Madame, tell me about how your PTSD is now.
My PTSD is now that I have nightmares very frequently. I have panic attacks. I have very overwhelmed and anxiety and I get very overwhelmed and I can't sleep. I have nightmares. I have flashbacks. I'm unable to work or even be around people because of I get nervous and I get scared and I get overwhelmed. I have like panic attacks.
Okay. Now, I want to go right to the final one here. The future. How do you feel the evolution of your PTSD is going to affect you in the future? You get 5 words. Go ahead.
I believe it will affect me in the future because I'm unable to connect and be around, to really be around people, and I isolate myself, so I'm not able to be like the happy-go-lucky person and just be able to normally be able to be around people and be functioning at a normal pace or a normal speed and be able to comprehend, because I get overwhelmed and I can't remember. I have problems remembering what I said or even remembering like things, or I just get overworked and overwhelmed and I get really flustered and flushed.
Was that 5 words?
No.
Let's begin from the very beginning as to your description as to the timeline for your PTSD. Can you tell me in 5 words for before you had your PTSD, how you were? Go ahead.
Okay. Before, how I was able to was able to maintain a job. I was able to be around people. I was people oriented. I was able to be outgoing and little like things didn't overwhelm me and panic me, and be able to complete tasks, like be able to actually say I'm going to do something and be able to complete it without having any fear.
I'm cutting you off.
Being overwhelmed.
I'm jumping in like the judge would do. There's your before.
Okay.
Now we're going to beginning. It began. What happened in the beginning? 5 words.
Like, what do you mean? What happened in the beginning? Like, from the PTSD?
Yeah. Well, how did it begin? Yeah.
Okay. Well, it began where I was in a relationship, and like I said, it didn't start out like that. It was a good relationship, and over time, it got very abusive, and where I was scared to leave, or I didn't have anywhere to go, and I stayed in that relationship for a long time, and I believe that my PTSD, it comes from that being, I guess, being out of that relationship. I don't know how to handle myself. I don't know how, because I was so like.
All right. You're all over the place. Relax. Take a moment. I've got you all fluttered and excited and all over the place. I need you to calm down and find your center. Relax. We're talking about the beginning. The first abuse.
Okay.
The hospital visits. The police reports. The nightmares and the flashbacks begin.
Yes.
5 words. 5 words.
5 words. It began with the flashback, and I also had nightmares. I would have nightmares and get up in the middle of sleep and couldn't go back to sleep. I've had panic attacks where it would take me a very long time to calm myself down. Very depressed and not able to do the things I used to be able to do by like working and being around friends and family. And that's
good.
It.
Good. That was your best one yet. That was good. We've done before. We've done beginning. Now give me now. What's going on now? 5 words.
Now I still have issues with sleep. I still have issues with my panic attacks and my anxiety. I'm not able to be around people. I'm unable. It's hard. I haven't been able to leave my house. I've had overwhelming fear and overwhelming anxiety where it kept me immobilized, like isolated. And
all right, I'm cutting you off. We go back.
All right,
we're rewinding the tape.
Okay.
I want to know now.
Okay.
5 words. Think about commas. 5 words.
Okay.
No
5 words.
Social interaction. And it's not really 5 words. It's 5 key topics, but they're like little mini phrases. It's just that little bit.
Right.
So remember, flashbacks are worse. Nightmares are worse. Medication isn't working. no job, no hobbies or interactions with others. Can you tell me now what your PTSD is like?
My PTSD is like I have flashbacks. I'm unable to be a part of like communicating and with my friends and family, like being around them. Like I isolate myself.
Good.
Not being able to stick to like something like a task, and I get overwhelmed, or I'll just quit it, or like not able to finish something.
Good.
My panic attacks, my nightmares, my flashbacks, my anxiety, my depression.
Good. You're sounding better now. Okay, something has clicked in you. I don't know what happened there, because I didn't think it was going to click tonight, but something just clicked in you. You're starting to see the bullet points. Now here's the toughie.
This is why I needed to call you.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. That's fine. Here's the tough part. Everybody does a shit show job on the future. This is your opportunity in a micro paragraph to explain why the judge should believe that you are not going to be able to function at a job. We've done, before you had PTSD, what you were like. We've done the beginning of what happened, your origin story with it. We've done now where you're at. I need a micro paragraph in bullet point form as to why you cannot work going forward in time. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I don't believe that I'm able to sustain a job because I wouldn't be able to concentrate and complete things, and like being able to complete something and be able to go fully with it. I also, with my, I have a problem being around people. It's hard for me. I can't be around I can't be around people really. I isolate myself, and I have anxiety where if I just can't be in too many people, or even with anybody. I haven't been out the house. It's too overwhelming, so I haven't been able to interact or even interact with anybody really. Like, as in, like, if it was for a job wise, I had to interact with supervisors or interact with managers or have to do something. If I need help with something, I don't believe that. I believe that if I had like a flashback or if I had a panic attack, I would have to I would have to take myself, away from this situation at the time, and I don't think I would be able to continue work. I wouldn't be able to continue out the day. I would have too many problems with that because it's a continuing thing. Like, my panic attacks have gotten worse, and it has been overwhelming, and so it's been. I just don't think I would be able to finish out a job.
Okay. All right. Okay. Take a breath. Relax. I'm worried I'm being a little bit too tough on you. This is normally how I do it. And normally the person is farther along in their education on the hearing, the different levels of what you need to know, what you have to do. I want you to understand that you are very close to being able to summarize what PTSD is. And you are just now starting to understand the bullet points of descriptive nature for this particular impairment. Now, normally, if it were one of my impairments, or one of my claimants rather, they would know specifically what the listing statute requires, and they would be flinging those terms out to explain the nightmares a little bit better, to explain the flashbacks a little bit better, to explain the timeline a little bit better. I'm going to give you, and this is going to be your last comment, and I just want to point something out. You know how maybe you have a dog in the background, you have kids in the background, or a husband in the background, whatever. When you're on the phone for this hearing, things are going to happen that you don't expect. Somebody else's phone is going to ring, a TV is going to fall down, a dog's going to run up and lick your hand, whatever it is. They don't exist during this hearing. Your brain thinks of nothing but this hearing when you're in it. If a dog is barking, the dog does not exist. You have to make sure that you focus
Okay.
solely on the hearing. All right, so I'm going to allow you to answer this question on your own, but you're going to have to do it. And I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to time you. You're going to have to do it within 2 minutes to describe. I'm giving you more than I normally give my claimants, but you have to do it within 2 minutes to describe this question. I'm going to break it down for you and make it easier, but I want you to take a moment and think and then answer it. You will have 2 minutes. Ma'am, would you go ahead and explain to me a timeline for what's going on with your PTSD and its severity? Go ahead.
Okay, my a timeline for my PTSD was when it got really worse was when I was hospitalized in 2019. I was hospitalized for a month, and then I believe that I just had a mental breakdown, and I wasn't able to really. I wasn't able to compose myself and be able to like a lot of anxiety and being overwhelmed. Like I said, my panic attacks gotten worse. The flashback, unable to sleep, unable to sleep well. Might have broken up sleep, maybe like 2 hours here, maybe an hour here, there. It was very broken up, and my nightmares where I was just recalled, like from the abuse, recalling, like being able to like remember the trauma event that happened, and being that gives me very like a lot of overwhelming anxiety. And what was the question again?
Okay. All right. That was good. That was good. Not a good ending. What was the question again? That was not a good ending. All right. So just so you understand, the stop clock right there was around 1 minute and 20 seconds. So you didn't make it to 2 minutes. Can you explain to me why you didn't make it to 2 minutes?
I guess my time, I'm just really like I'm really, like my anxiety is really getting to me right now. So maybe
you lost focus.
I'm overthinking. Yeah, I lost focus.
Do you have a piece of paper in front of you?
Yes.
I want you to write down on the piece of paper going down. Going down. First word, before.
Okay. Before.
Second word, beginning. Third word,
Beginning.
now. Fourth
Now.
word, future.
Future. Okay.
I want you to tell me, what does before mean?
Before I had the PTSD and anxiety, and before I was before my impairment.
But what does that mean? But before, if I don't understand what before is, what does it mean?
It means before. It means before, like it means something that happened. What is before? Past. It was past.
It's the past, right? It's a time before an event occurred, right?
Yes.
All right. Don't be embarrassed. I can feel you being embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed. A lot of people can't define simple words because our brains automatically fill in everything and it just poof pops in our head and we're good to go. Don't be embarrassed about that. What does beginning mean?
Like beginning is the start of, the very start.
It's the very start of something, right? It's the origin. It is the beginning to a story. It is the moment we open the book to something occurring, correct?
Yes.
What is the now?
Right, present, as in now, like present.
Good, but what does that mean?
It means what's going on as of now, as of currently.
Okay. It's why you can no longer work, why the symptoms of your impairment are so severe that they limit your ability to function, and why you are no longer able to go ahead and even do the basic functions of life that you are accustomed to: hygiene, sleeping, dressing, etc.
Okay, so, and I do have problems with those too. I forgot to mention them.
What is the future?
The future is what's going to happen in like in the future, like what's going to happen from now. Like it could be, you know, I'm not really good
I
with
don't know.
explaining
You
things.
tell me. Define it for me. What is the future?
The future is something that is not here yet.
Okay. Is Christmas in the future?
Christmas is in the future
Why is Christmas in the future?
because it's in the future because it's not here.
Because it's at a later date, right?
Yeah, because it's at a later date and it's not here.
What's a timeline?
Of a timeline, pretty much is showing dates and showing before, present, and future.
Okay. Can you explain to me in short definitions what before, beginning, now, and future are? You have them written down. Reference them with your eyes as you look on the page. Go ahead.
Okay, before is something that happened that was in the past, and the beginning is the start of something, and the now is what's happening right now and what's going to happen, and the future is something that's not here yet.
Do you feel that you have a better understanding of what a timeline is now?
I do. I feel I do.
Okay. Okay. Do you feel that a timeline is a difficult thing to answer?
Kind of. I mean, not really. It's not really difficult to answer. I guess I'm just a little nervous. Like, not nervous, but my anxiety is just like, I guess I'm getting a little flustered. So it's not, I can remember what you said sometimes, but then it gets jumbled up and then I kind of forget.
Is your anxiety due to lack of preparation and training, or is your anxiety due to your impairments?
I believe it has to do with my impairment. That I'm always, on alert, and I'm always I get paranoid a lot, and overwhelming anxiety a lot. So I do believe it has to do with my impairments, because before I wasn't like this. I wasn't able, I was able to function and able to go to work, and before this happened, I was not depressed. I had some depressive things, but it wasn't like this.
You're spinning your wheels.
Bad.
Bring it home. Bring it home. You're spinning your wheels. Bring it home.
So it was before I was able to to be able to relax. You gotta relax. You got this.
So I want to point something out to you real quick, and then I think this is super important. I think it's going to help you a lot. And to me, the whole point of this is helping anybody that wants to call in, because keep in mind, I don't. I could be working on anything right now, accounting for the firm, building forms, updating things, whatever. This is your time. So I want to help you with this.
Yeah.
If you could, absolutely. If you couldn't define before, beginning, now, and future, was it your anxiety that limited your ability to define them? Or was it your lack of education and experience with defining them that really limited you?
My anxiety has limited me because like I said, I get very flustered, and I get very overwhelmed and I can't think of what I was saying or say. I can't think of what I was doing. Like, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm talking to you, but I don't remember the question, or I just don't remember I don't know how to put it in words, how to explain my anxiety, where I can't, it gets so overwhelming. I can't speak. Like, I can speak, but I can't, it's hard for me to function.
I have a really simple question for you. You should be able to zip right through it with ease. Define anxiety for me.
It's a panicky, overwhelming fear, like heart racing, very, frustrated, unable to keep train of thought, very scared, like.
How is it going?
And
how do you feel it's going? Your definition.
Not good.
It's a little all over the place. You got some good keywords, but in majority, it was all over the place. We're looking for restlessness, easily fatigued, difficulty concentrating, irritability, muscle tension, sleep disturbance. That's what we're looking for. 12.06, disability listing for anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder. So look up 12.06 on the computer. 12.06.
Okay.
All right. Now, here's the thing.
I have trouble sleeping.
And I understand that. But here's the thing. The main issue here is not your anxiety when answering these simple questions. The main issue here is lack of training and education for these terms. I can prove that because you weren't able to answer and define those terms readily. And the thing is this. Yes, you were anxious. Yes, your brain was all over the place. You had lost words. You had fog of mind. You had a hard time catching up in the sentence as to where you were or connecting the dots between words that you were using. And I get that. But I bet you a shiny nickel that if I took you back to answering this question of, can you give me a timeline for your PTSD, you would do significantly better now than you would have 10 minutes ago. And that's not anxiety that's limiting you. That is experience and education that's limiting you.
Experience and not like pretty much, I don't have the practice or being able to. That's why I pretty much wanted to talk to you because, my hearing's coming up and my lawyer hasn't really spoke to me. I know there's going to, I guess, sooner when it gets to hearing, but I'm just, I know I need a little bit of practice and be a little aware because, like you said, it's probably bullet points. They're going to be, the hearing's probably going to be, not, I don't know how long, but it probably won't be too crazily long. And, you only have a short amount of time to explain to the judge.
Okay, good. You're getting it. You went from all over the place land, describing why this, that, okay. But now you're not that anymore. We only did two important questions. Important question number one is, what are your top 5 most severe impairments? Question number 2 is, give me a timeline for your PTSD because PTSD was your most severe impairment. You are going to have about 20 tough questions in there of all the questions that you actually get. It is imperative. It is imperative that you start to work on your education on what PTSD is. Now, do you know what PTSD is?
Well, I know it has to do with being in a traumatic, I guess, being involved or seeing or witnessing or something traumatic or.
How's it going? Take a moment, readjust, break it down, think. What was the question? You tell me what the question was.
What is PTSD?
Great. What is PTSD? Go ahead.
PTSD for me is having restless sleep, not on edge, very paranoid, having flashbacks and nightmares, and having panic attacks, and recalling, pretty much remembering the abuse for me, and being depressed. We're like pretty much I've had panic attacks before because of remembering the abuse and having the flashbacks. That's really had pretty much
Okay.
what am I supposed to like?
Okay. I need you to recognize two things with your speech pattern. Number one, your brain speeds off like a Corvette. Okay. And then, and I should have used a Ford reference. My apologies to the people who like Fords on the channel. Speeds off like a Cobra. And it just ends up in a road somewhere, looking at a field, going, where did I start? I think I started on that street over there. How did I get here? What I'd like you to do is...
Yeah, that's my problem.
Yeah, but that's okay. That is not impossible to fix. What I want you to do is... and we're finishing up right now, and then I'm going to transition to the next gentleman and go from there. But what I want you to do is, I want you to start working on educating yourself as to the basic definitions of each thing we've talked about. I'd like you to write down PTSD equals 12.15 listing. PTSD equals 12.15 listing. 12.15 listing. PTSD equals 12.15 listing. PTSD is, as the statute requires, exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury or violence, subsequent involuntary re-experiencing of the traumatic event, for example, intrusive memories, dreams, or flashbacks, avoidance of external reminders of the events, disturbance in moods and behavior, and increases in arousal and reactivity, for example, exaggerated startle response, sleep disturbance. That is what the SSA wants to hear in your own words. And if you don't know the statute...
I have all that.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Nobody is questioning that you have these things in you. We're only questioning as to whether or not you have the ability to deliver them to the judge in verbal form.
Okay, so like to pretty much explain it, how like my flashbacks and my panic attacks have that's the result of my PTSD. Like I'm just not probably doing a good example of explaining it.
You're doing an uneducated example of explaining it, and you are not a dumb person. You're a smart person. You're smarter than you think. Your anxiety, it spins you out down the road, but you're smart enough to get back to the original question, to be able to define things and then apply it. You're not a dumb person. Trust me, I work with dumb people all day long that have mental capacity limitations where they can't think. That's not you. You're a smart person.
No.
You just got to learn how to figure out what they want. Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions for me about how this stuff works? And my recommendation, if you want to call in next week, we'll do more questions. We didn't get that far today, but do you have any questions for me?
The question I do have a question. I can't remember now, so I'm just going to maybe next week I could call in and be able to help me. I could practice with, because like I said, I do have a lot of these problems with PTSD and the panic disorder. I do have, like sleep problems and recalling, remembering what happened to me and everything. So I do have a lot of problems. I just have to have a better way of explaining it.
I agree. Now, I'm going to tell you a final thing. Your secret weapon in all of this is that you have people who love you because they're sitting there and they're talking to you and they're trying to help you. Get them to watch the top 50 ALJ trick questions, that big playlist, and then have them grill you like a whopper. Have them grill you like a whopper. And don't let them be easy on you. They need to beat you up so that your brain knows how to define PTSD, knows how to define panic attack, depression, acrophobia, and arthritis. Make sure they do. And then the other thing that I think would be more appropriate for you is arthritis and arthropathy. Arthropathy is, I think, a word that would be more something that you should add to your little list there. I think that would be appropriate.
How do you spell arthropathy?
Arthropathy. So that's AR. TH.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. AR. So it's AR, TH,
TH,
RO,
RO,
PA,
PA,
TH,
TH,
Y.
Y. Okay.
Okay, so that basically is essentially pain in multiple locations. It's also a disease of the joints. I think that's going to be something that's a little bit more akin to what they're looking for as far as diction in the hearing. This is important. When you go do this hearing, you get to have one of these every so many years. This is important.
Okay.
Go bug your attorney and get your attorney to grill you sooner rather than later. Okay?
All right. That's not a problem. Do you think I might have a problem with, because of my age, being that I'm still 32?
Well, look, I mean, you know, claims when the claimant is under 50, there's nothing promised. I have people that call me and they're like, I have a great claim, and they're under 50 years old. And the first thing in my head is, then you have no idea how this works. Nothing is certain. Yeah. Nothing is certain when you're under 55. If you're under 55, nothing is certain. 50, you got a shot at grid out. 55, a much better shot. Over 60, a great shot. But nothing is certain if you're under 55.
Well, the other thing I didn't mention, but I hoped, like, my lawyer had told me, because I've had nonstop medical, I've had medication and through the whole 2 years that after I've seen, that I was inpatient hospitalized, but I still had medical treatment for the whole 2 years. She said that was a really good thing, because and they changed my medication. I have a list of that where they changed it like 6 different times, because I was still having problems, not able to sleep, and still having the flashbacks and all of those things. They had changed my medicine like 6 times, but I'm still currently seeking medication, and I see my psychiatrist every 2 weeks with the telephone on the through video.
Great. Do you have the police report?
I don't have the police report, but I can try to see if one of my sister can probably get a hold of it, or try to see that maybe go up there and try to get the police report.
Do you ever have a sleep study showing that your PTSD keeps waking you up?
They did. I don't know. When I was inpatient hospitalized for that month, they did test a couple tests. It wasn't a sleep study, but they did test, like, some tests and things, and they review their videos and things like that, and they see that you have problems sleeping, and I had problems sleeping. Like, sometimes I wouldn't be able to go to sleep for over a day, like a day and a half, and like they watched me and seen, for a month that I was in their care, that I stayed inpatient at the hospital.
I am officially deputizing you to become a lawyer. You are going to find your lawyer hat and put it on. Your lawyer hat is going to require you to go ahead and basically define legally how, before your impairment, you were fine. You were winning awards at work. People loved you. You have pictures of you being happy. Life is good. You need to be able to legally define the beginning. Police reports, beatings, medical attention, the now, what's going on now, why you're limited, people writing letters about your inability to function, medical diagnostic impressions showing a severe PTSD notation, and the future.
Yes, there is.
What you feel is going to happen. All right?
Okay, not a problem. Thank you so much for helping me. And if it's okay with you, I can call back next week and maybe get to the rest of the questions. With the rest of the questions.
Go watch the top 50 ALJ trick questions. I will continue. We'll go through them, and we'll get you as good as we can. Then I'll hand you back to your attorney, and hopefully you'll be able to really wow them.
Thank you. I know I need to work on my wording in my presentation.
Yes,
So
but you're getting there.
That.
Yeah, you're getting there though. You've made huge strides. If you were a unicorn, you just jumped a big fence at the U.S. dressage competition that has a cute little riding center with jumping in the corner. You did that. You did. So I'm very happy. But Madame, I've got to call this gentleman real quick. You have a wonderful night, okay?
Yes, you too. Thank you so much for helping me. You call the next caller and take care, okay?
You as well. Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now, guys, I try not to keep phone calls for too long, and I know we talked about this before, that it should be around 20 to 30 minutes per phone call. I know that one was about 2 hours, so sorry about that. I will try to keep the phone calls shorter. It takes time to dig in and so into the person what they've got to do. So it's tough, and you know. That's why when a lot of people are like, I'm going to call this gentleman right now. That's why a lot of people are like, oh, well, you know, real quick, hey, I got to like change you. I have to, like the military, break you down into your base fundamental and then rebuild you into what they're looking for. That's tough. It's not quick. That's the tough thing. All right, we're going to call the next person. Here we go. Let me see if I can get him up real quick. Oh, his name is on the thing, so I'll just put it on this.
Hello.
Howdy, good sir. Attorney Walter Knott. Make sure you use your fake name. Now, we have a hearing tomorrow morning. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, actually excitedly, but terrified at the same time I do.
Okay. Let me ask you the basic questions so I understand kind of the gist of this whole thing. Are you sure all of your medical documentation and evidence is in at this point?
I received my lawyer's memorandum, and everything that I'm aware of, I'm noticing in there.
Okay.
As far as medical goes, I have light medical. Because of being homeless so much, I
limited
really
medical.
don't have the opportunity or the funds to see doctors, and a lot of times I fell through the cracks because of my disabilities. I end up having confrontations and altercations and arrests, attempting to get like free clinical help and so forth. And so the only doctors I've had is just theirs. So most of all the evidence is their own doctors.
Okay.
With a whole lot of moderate stuff.
Okay. So just to understand right off the bat, have you read the CEME reports, the consultative examination medical expert reports? Have you read them yet? Can you tell me about what's on them?
I've gone over them, but unfortunately, I'm not able to really retain too much of what I read and so forth. So that's going to be my biggest struggle. It's really hard for me because I've had a lot of experiences with criminal proceedings, unfortunately, due to
homelessness.
Control.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Nothing criminal, but unfortunately, assaults on cops and authority figures and stuff.
Sure.
And so I've learned let my lawyer do all the talking. So I was hoping to let my lawyer do all the talking to this, but unfortunately, that's not the case.
Yeah.
And so that means it falls on me, and somehow with my disabilities and limitations, I have to become normal.
Okay.
And come across, in some kind of manner to enter everything. What you said to me, I'm familiar with it from going over it, but I don't know how to answer that to you, And I know the number one thing is I can't tell the judge I don't know.
The inherent flaw that you speak of is a very high-level doctrinal issue that occurs in this field, which is that you're saying I have to act normal, deliver information in the form that they want, when I normally can't do that because I am impaired. This is correct.
Absolutely.
This is a major, major flaw in the system. The only fix to this is that the judges have to see lots and lots and lots of people with these impairments and be able to see through the cracks as to which ones are truly severe, which they're not bad at. They're not great at it, some of them, but they're not bad at it. So what I would like to do is I'd like to run it as if we were doing it the night before. And I'm going to tell you something. I usually run it with my claimants a couple of months before their hearing. I then run it again a couple of weeks. I then run it again the night before. And I then run it again the day that they're going to be doing their hearing. The night before is the beat up night. That is the night where I put them through hell and I make them worry and I stress them out. That is because their brain, when they go to sleep, will be running over time to go ahead and answer the things that we talked about that night. So I'm giving you a heads up. You're not going to want to sleep after this. You're going to be aggressive, anxious, furious, tired, sad. But I guarantee you're going to wake up getting better at this and doing a better job when you go into that hearing. So if it's okay. Okay. Good, sir. Go ahead and state your
question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I have a good question. I was really, really concerned with, I spoke with my lawyer and we went over everything for about an hour, roughly about 30 days ago. It's only the second time I ever spoke with her. And so I was under the impression of she was, preparing my case based on everything that I had told her. Upon getting her memorandum that she submitted today, looking at it, the very first thing I see when I read it says Mr. Marcus is a 46-year-old man who is disabled due to joint pain. I'm in shock.
Do you want to read it to me? Do you want to just read it to me and then I'll go ahead and point out things that I noticed? Because, obviously I write what I call opening statement briefs or opening statements or memorandums, as you put it. If you're okay.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
This is what she's going to say.
How many paragraphs is it?
1, 2, 3. Oh, there's also a bunch of medical stuff. It says,
a bunch of bullet point medical. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the very opening stuff says due to joint pain, bipolar disorder, and anxiety. Now, I had told that it was due to my mental health. I have, in my opinion, because I've only gone to their doctors, I have undiagnosed mental health because, unfortunately, I sabotage myself, and I can't control that. So when I see these doctors, they only learn what I'm willing to let them learn. There's stuff about me that I don't share because I don't want to risk perhaps getting myself back into the institutions I used to be in.
Yeah, the mental asylum. Yeah, no, I got you. You don't want to get Baker acted or Marchman acted.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
Exactly. And so I figured she would at least go by what I told her, which is my mental health, my PTSD, my TBI, my anxiety, and my depression. And here it is. This memorandum says joint pain, bipolar disorder, and anxiety. That's a big shock.
Okay. All right. I'm going to run these questions with you. You can read me the memoranda. It's too long. It's not an opening statement. Otherwise, I was going to have you read it. But
yeah, it's very long. Very long.
I want to run this with you. I'm going to approach now. I'm going to cut you off a lot because we have limited time. We only have 30 minutes to go through this, and there's somebody else who actually called in and wants to talk. All right, good sir. Let's do it right now. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
My name is Joseph Marcus.
Date of birth, current age, and left or right-handed.
5/13/72. I am dominant right-handed, and I'm sorry, 74. Dominant right-handed, 46 years of age.
What is your height and weight, and has your weight fluctuated over the past year?
I am 6 foot even. Currently, I'm 147 pounds. Fluctuate, does that mean go up and down?
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
No, it generally seems to stay within about 10 to 15 pounds. Okay. Always fluctuating normal, though, for years on end.
Did you ever work for the military, or have you ever been a citizen of another country?
I did join the military, and I was in my 7-week boot camp, but unfortunately I received a discharge for assault and battery on 2 of my drill instructors.
Okay. So they got you angry, you went to go fight them, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Not uncommon. All right, next one. Are you homeless or with a dwelling?
I am. Well, it's pretty complicated. I am homeless, but not the full 7 days out the week. I can for a couple days when allowed go stay inside a shed that has electricity, or sometimes in a spare bedroom of a ex-girlfriend.
Okay. So you are homeless sometimes.
Majority of the time, yes.
Okay. All right. Good, sir. Help me out with this. When did you start becoming homeless? And I want simple, quick answers because we haven't even gotten to the stuff where you explain stuff. When did you become homeless?
I've become homeless off and on since I was fresh out of prison, when I was like in my early 20s, where most people went to prom and stuff. I unfortunately, as a teenager, was charged adult and went to prison, and that's where I received my PTSD. And upon getting out, I had periods of homeless off and on between finding work, and so that's just something I've dealt with my whole life.
Understood. Do you have a wife, ex-wife, or any children?
No, I do not, unfortunately.
Okay, but you do have a girlfriend?
No, no longer. Unfortunately, that's complicated because due to my disabilities, I'm not somebody who I do not beat women. I'm not an abusive person like that, but unfortunately, just like I assaulted my sister and my mother's, I have assaulted girlfriends, so that's why she remains my ex.
Gotcha. Do you receive food stamps or any other governmental program benefits via the federal, state, or county governments?
Oh, God, yes. If it wasn't for food stamps, I wouldn't be alive.
Currently, within the past 5 years, did you receive or achieve any permits, licenses, or allowances on behalf of the federal, state, or county government?
No, I have not. Other than I was given, I don't know if this counts, but that check they gave out for the coronavirus, I got that.
Okay. Are you currently or have you been within the past 5 years a member of any clubs or unions, whether for recreational or professional purposes?
No.
Okay. When did you have health insurance last?
Last time I had health insurance would be when I last regularly was pulling the full-time shifts, and that was vaguely back in, I'd say, 2010, 2012.
Okay. What are your top 5 most severe impairments?
In my opinion, that would be my mental health, well-being, my PTSD, my traumatic brain injury, my anxiety, and depression.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah, that would be my top 5. Is that what you said?
I'm just questioning you. Remember, sometimes a judge is going to ask you a question they already asked. You have to stand by it. Remember how with the prior thing we were talking about, is that a mild impairment? Is that a lesser impairment? That's questioning the person and then throwing words in their mouth. I might question you to go back. Just watch out for that. Stand by your word. Good sir, what are your top 5 most severe impairments?
That would be my mental health, the well-being in general, my PTSD, suffering from that, my traumatic brain injury, the struggles and limitations, that my severe anxiety is a lot to deal with, and of course my depression.
Okay, you said basically 4 because mental health doesn't really count because then you're describing mental health diagnostic impressions. So give me top 5. I'm going to count you off: PTSD, traumatic brain injury, anxiety, depression, and I need one more.
My bipolar.
Excellent. What about physical? Yep. What about physical impairments?
As far as physical limitations, I have joint pain in both my knees, but only one knee has medical evidence of a torn meniscus disc.
Okay. Out of all of those, can you explain to me which do you feel is the most severe?
It's really close between my bipolar and my PTSD.
Okay, I'm going to ask you again. Which of all those 5 do you feel is the most severe?
I'm sorry, Judge. Are you asking me to pick one? Because otherwise it would be between my bipolar and PTSD.
What do you think I'm asking?
For me to pick one,
You got it. Which one?
bipolar.
Bingo. Bipolar. Why is bipolar so severe for you?
In my opinion, because it's what I've dealt with the longest. My mother actually gets disability, and she's bipolar, and my older sister does as well. So it's part of, I guess, genetics.
What is bipolar?
The actual definition of it, I'm not quite sure. I don't have that kind of insight to myself. I just know, growing up, I've struggled with controlling my emotions, and to using their terminology, they told me I was handicapped, and I went to very special education type schools and classes. So that's how I learned this stuff. The actual definition I couldn't tell you. I just don't know. It's much like that.
Oh, what do you think it is?
I think it has something to do with the levels of controlling myself, how happy I get, and if I can control that, or if how sad I can get, I can control that. And many other emotions.
Let's try it again. What is bipolar?
I know you got me. I'm stuck.
No. You don't get out of that easily. What is
I am stuck.
No. You're not stuck. You're okay. We're gonna pour a little Drano on this thing. We're gonna try and take a moment, think, relax.
No, like right now, literally, I'm 46 years old, sir. I know myself. I'm having like it always feels like an out of body experience right now.
Okay.
That's how I know when I'm stuck. My brain is just lost. I'm stuck. Whatever you're saying is going to my head. I just need a minute to ground myself. Pressure like this isn't good on me. It usually can make me break.
Yeah, it excites you to get pissed off and you fight. That's not a bad thing here, though. We're going to use that to the advantage. So you get excited, you get pissed off, and you fight. Those are symptoms of bipolar. What are other symptoms of bipolar?
I'm guessing my extreme sensitivities. I've always been very, very sensitive to where I can't stand or seem to understand actually humor. I would like to be a funny guy. I wish I had friends, and I'm envious of people that are funny and charming. But it sounds like disrespect to me, and I just don't know how to take stuff like that or sarcasm or anything.
Okay, let's bring it all back. What is bipolar to you?
It is me unable to control my emotions and overall impulses, for lack of better words.
All right, I'm going to help you out.
Yes.
They are specifically looking for pressured speech, flight of ideas, inflated
Did you say pressured speech?
Yeah.
That's what we just went through right there.
Oh, yeah, but we got a heck of a lot more to go through, buddy. That's number one. Jeez Louise. You don't get the number one and then go to number two and say, oh, I didn't have to have that one because I got number one. You got to look at all these.
Blown.
Yeah.
My mind's blown.
Well, it shouldn't be that blown. You live with bipolar you're in your 40s. Come on.
Well, I don't know all the little nuances.
Okay, all right. We'll blame it on the nuances. All right, so bipolar is... I love you. That was good. You got me on that one. You made me smile at that. All right, so bipolar is pressured speech, flight of ideas, inflated self-esteem, decreased need for sleep, distractibility, involvement in activities that have a high probability of painful consequences that are not recognized, or increase in goal-directed activity or psychomotor agitation. Now, dude,
what is that?
Psychomotor agitation is where you're moving your hand a lot where you're not really aware of it. You're moving your knee up and down and you're not really aware of it. Psychomotor
That's
agitation.
all over the paperwork and my stuff.
So
Now that you mentioned that.
So you've got body movements that you're doing that you're not aware of, right? That's that gig. All right. Can you tell me, with all those things I just listed, other than psychomotor agitation, do you know what all those other things are?
Yes, I've had them pointed out to me when actually seen their doctors.
Good.
They were pointed out to me as, I guess, facts. Like when you mentioned that inflated self-esteem, I very strongly disagreed with that. And the more I disagreed with it, the more I guess it was legit.
Well, do you have a desire for people to like you by telling funny jokes?
Not by telling funny jokes, but I do have a desire to be liked because I feel I'm sadly misunderstood. Unfortunately, that's all I seem to care about is what others think.
Okay. So if you care about what others think, and that's relevant to how you perceive they'll like you, what is that defined as? I will give you a hint if you want it.
Yes, I do.
It is called an inflated self-esteem. That's what it's called.
Okay.
That's the exact thing.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. You have an expectation of bringing them into your circle and having them feel that you're relevant and therefore that they should understand and like what you're saying, to go ahead and create this kind of algebrization between you and them so that you like them, they like you, and everybody's happy. And then you feel more powerful because of that, because all of a sudden you have worth through their expectation of what you're saying to be worthwhile or have a higher level of, let's say, value. Okay. That is an inflated self-esteem. It's where you get gratification from other people, enjoying the things that you have to tell them.
Awesome.
Your style is good. The judge is gonna like you. The judge is gonna like you. I'm gonna tell you that. The judge is gonna believe you have these. Yeah.
Do I be honest with the judge like I am with you though?
Well, yeah, you always have to be.
My lawyer told me.
Yeah.
Listen, not to cut you off, but my lawyer told me I have a concern about this because personally, even though I'm a thief, because I am, I'm an ex-thief. But unfortunately, I do bad things. So if I see opportunities, I may do it. I hate that about myself. And I try to stop doing things like that. I won't admit that to the judge or anything like that. But even though I have these faults I'm aware of, I like to feel like I have integrity. So I don't like to lie. I like to be honest. And so when my lawyer told me, because I told her specifically, so don't be honest. She said, well, you can't, but then she retracted. Of course, well, yes, you be honest. That is a very hard line that I've been walking. Because like as I'm going through with you, I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's so easy for you. That's because you're so smart. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're a brighter guy. You are.
I tell you what, sir, I used to be a genius, and that is not one of my grand delusions that doctors like to tell me.
You're a bright guy. There's no doubt about it. You're making great connections that the average person is not going to see. So you're above standard intelligence. The problem you have is your mind goes into, I am relevant and important and they don't appreciate me mode. And they've said something that upsets me and therefore I'm going to punish them. That's the type of guy you are. But that's okay. That's okay. The reason you're so aggressive and so combative is because your brain overthinks things and then you end up hurting somebody. That's not the end of the world. That is something with time that psychologically can be not suppressed, but more of curved, if you will, so that you can have a little bit more power over it. I tend to think of your grouping of impairments as people that are in like X-Men, people that have a superpower that can be used for good or bad. And you do have the power to think at high level, logical and analytical thinking above the normative standard, which is good. But inherent in that, you do it to the point where you feel that you're being judged inappropriately. And then you feel that you must defend yourself, your kingdom,
Yes.
And
I can't help that.
And that's okay.
I don't mean to be that defensive.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. That's not a look, man. What you have, how do I explain this? The best thing you could ever do is learn how to control it, kind of like the Hulk, controlling the anger.
Yes.
Always being angry, but controlling the anger. And then showing other people how to do that. Because there's so many people out there. That's actually not true. There's not so many people. If you were not so intelligent, you would not so easily get offended. And here's the thing about that. The reason why that's such a tough truth for most people is that if you were not so intelligent, you would not be able to make the mental jumps to the things and reasons that you feel are degrading the base of what makes you a human. And ultimately, you get pissed off at people because you feel like the base fundamental of your humanistic nature, the thing that you love about you, the thing that you protect, the book that you hold close to your chest that describes who you are, that book is written with higher language, and that language is what people attack. Whether or not they actually do or do not is the impairment you have. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? And those convictions, that's another hard line because, it's like here I am at 46, and I have taken so much pride in, because I've been to so many doctors and counseling and therapists and so forth. But I personally, I chose the wrong route. I chose recreational drugs to medicate myself, along with counseling, talking counseling, because I do good controlling myself. But unfortunately, I realized at the end of the day, I am not in control of myself, because it's just those certain times when a battery will happen, or I have to flee a scene or something, and it creates a bigger embarrassment, which ends up becoming a physical connotation, because I live and worry of these potential disasters.
What was, if you don't mind me asking, and I think this will be more important to helping you figure out tomorrow what to say, what was the number one thing that got you to be combative, physically combative with your ex-girlfriend?
The very last time, and I've always told people, like doctors ask me, hey, do you see things? Do you hear things? Yes, I see things. I hear things. Oh, well, please explain that. Oh, no, it's my voice. It's my voice. I hear my own voice. It's very dark, messed up thoughts, but it's my voice. And I hear things. Yeah, the things I hear aren't voices. I hear things that I can't quite make out what the sounds are. Is that a baby crying? Do I hear a kitten? It's unexplainable. It's just really, really weird, uncanny feelings and so forth. And I lost track where I was going with this. What did you just say to me? Roll that back, please.
What is the thing that caused you to hit your girlfriend?
Okay, so as I always deal with these things, there's times when I see things that I felt like that happened. And then those that are in relationships or in my family have always told me, no, that did not take place. That did not happen. What I had seen is I've seen the look of fear on my girlfriend's face, like she was going to be hurt and so forth by me when I was coming at her. Mm-hmm. And I was naked and I was mad and I was in an episode, and I came out the house and so forth, and not realizing that there was neighbors outside. Mm-hmm. And while in that rage, and embarrassment on top of it, I either went into delusion and seen her throw herself on the ground, and I thought, what the hell is she doing? And I grabbed her and picked her up, and realizing I'm naked, I got to rush her back inside. And so I'm now forcing her against her will back into the house. And of course, they got me arrested and everything, got domestic. But of course, her story was, she said, none of that actually took place. She said, you just lost control of yourself, practically wandered in circles. No one knew what you were doing. Everyone was afraid. And next thing you know, you picked me up and slammed me on the ground and began dragging me in the house, saying things that I don't even remember saying and so forth. You know what I mean? But in the end, I got probation. Everything worked out. But, it's another person I unfortunately hurt who loved me. And if it wasn't for her right now, I wouldn't even gotten this far, because of the fact that she will provide a meal for me every now and then. She will let me come stay in her shed, when it's really cold and things like that, and helps provide me with a phone, because I'm so far out in the country. Because to get clean off drugs, I had to get away from the city.
Mm-hmm.
I had to. I was in Orlando, and no matter where I went to, I would cross town. You know what I mean? And so I tried Osceola County. It didn't matter. So I had to get very far out in the country, and that worked. And by isolating myself, I'm able to stay clean off drugs. I don't harm nobody, and I can't get myself arrested. So it's been beneficial, but unfortunately, it is a horrible, horrible life that I shouldn't have to go through, in my opinion.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question that's going to be problematic for you. I don't want you to approach it that way. I want you to calmly answer it. I need you to relax when you approach it. All right. How do you define who you are? Can you define for me the person that you are?
I'm not positively sure what that defines who I am. Who I think I am, as in my convictions.
I am not looking for a definition on a timeline. I'm looking for you to define who you are, which is where you're telling me what you hold most important to you. And then we're going to go from there, and I'm going to tell you why that's relevant. Go ahead.
I still can't answer that. I don't understand defining who I am.
We spent a lot of time tonight working with people. Yeah, we spent a lot of time tonight working with people on defining words. We did not spend a lot of time on defining the individual. And the problem with that is that many people go ahead and they look at the situation and they say, okay, I know what this is now. Okay, good. I understand what my impairments are. I know what the buzzwords are now. Okay. That is all lower level crap. The higher level stuff is you being able to define who you are, because that is the only way you're going to make a humanistic, direct entanglement with the judge. Can you tell me who you are?
The real me, if you're asking me, in my opinion, who I think I am, the one I want people to know and not judge me on based on an episode.
No. You're not cheating on me. No. I want who you are. You snookering me on that one. I felt that one coming. Who are you?
I am very kind, gentle, loyal, compassionate person. That's who I am. And that's who I hope to always remain to be. But unfortunately, there's a side of me that I have to suppress because it is on a level that where people say, hey, if we'd known ahead of time, well, you had known ahead of time with me. And I keep slipping through those cracks, and it's a very dangerous situation for me if it continues. And that scares me.
That was a very PG version of it. I enjoyed it. It was like going to a Disneyland ride. That was good. I would now like for you to share me the adult version of who you are.
I don't know if I can answer that, man.
No.
I'm so sorry.
I said it was going to upset you. And you tried to snooker me with cute little fluffy unicorn versions of it. I don't need that. I can buy that at a local store. I don't need that. I would prefer to see what the product actually is.
I just I live my life trying to avoid consequences that I will bring on myself, because I unfortunately am very I hate to say the word disturbed, but I have such disturbing thoughts of not doing harm to people, but boy, if you cross me and challenge me, I won't back down. And it seems like it's a bluff, and that's where it's a double-edged sword, because the more aggressive somebody is, brings out my aggression, the deep-seated stuff that I tried to maintain. And I used to just allow it to happen as a FU for provoking me. But as I learned of the dire consequences, incarceration, what happened to me because of being incarcerated, the having to isolate myself and losing the jobs because of constant conflicts with employees and bosses and stuff. That I can't let that stuff go. I just can't without any medical health or help.
That was good. That was a PG-13. That was good. Okay. What I'm looking for in this to understand you is, and you started off strong because you were telling me the truth, and then you started to give me some excuses as to why you're like that and why it's okay. I would like the Quentin Tarantino version of you. I would like to understand why you are not somebody that fits in society. I would like to understand why I shouldn't trust you in a room in my house. I would like to understand why the judge should not believe you should be around sane people.
Well, if I'm having to answer point blank like that, that's a bad scenario for me, because, like I said, even in one of the lawyers or one of their own doctors' prognosis of me, she mentions how guarded she is in making the prognosis and stuff, because she's well aware of that I would not tell her everything. And for example, she said something very similar to what you said to me, Judge, about being in the room with me. And I simply told her, unfortunately, ma'am, when I entered this room, and I entered all rooms, I sized everyone up. And I know that at this very moment, there's no one in this building that I've remotely seen that could protect you from myself. Not the few men that were in the hallway or the people in the waiting rooms, if an altercation was to occur. And because of that, I'll have to avoid anything that might be triggers. Like, if we went over when I was raped in prison, there's certain key words that were said to me during those acts that if I hear those things from some people that just even have remote likeness to those individuals or a sound in their voice to those individuals, well, here comes what looks like a whole lot of macho bravado out of me. But unfortunately, it's a front where I'm daring somebody to cross that line with me, because I know what's going to come after that. Because unfortunately, I could not stop my rape, but I am one of those people that survived my rape because I did something about being raped.
Okay, that is good. That is what I was looking for, because you are one of those beautiful, wonderful people that's like from the Fight Club movie, who has rage that can't be controlled, and it comes out in the form of a blackout, and you're doing things. And I think the reality is that the cutest part of that story is when you were with your girlfriend that last time. But the reality is there's much worse stories about things that you've done. I need you to bridge that gap like you just did with the judge tomorrow. I need you to make the judge fear you.
I don't like to, that was very hard even saying it over the phone, you know.
There's another thing I need you to bring up.
It's really messed up to not like things about yourself. Do you have things you don't like about yourself, Walter?
Tons. Oh, God. Man, my list is as long as yours. In fact, the only reason I can talk like you with this is because I know that sensation that kind of goes up the spine when you feel it. I know that. I know that feeling, that total disrespect feeling. And then I know the thoughts that come from what goes through it as to assessing where they can run, what you can do to them, and how much time you need to do it. I get that. So my focus here is I need you to help the judge understand the base fundamentals of why you are not a person in control. And that is something you're going to sleep on and wake up and be able to tell the judge very simply. And you'll tell it so simply. Yeah. Okay. We are now at 2 hours into this recording, and I always do 2 hours. Do you have any questions for me before I pop off and go back to work on other law firm work?
No. That's been wonderful. I do appreciate it.
I ask one thing. If you
the
get
joint pain thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Earlier.
Yeah.
So, I just don't understand why that's being made a part of this.
So here's the deal. She's trying to throw everything into the pit that she can. It's called, the bottom line is any impairment that's there, she wants to include. Don't let the judge say it's mild, because let's call it like it is. You don't have much medical as a homeless person. You really just have the CEME doctors that which did the medical assessment on you. Now, look, you probably don't have a cane, a crutch, a walker, a wheelchair, or any other ambulatory devices. The reason why is you're homeless and you don't have health insurance. Don't undersell your physical limitations. You were attacked, you were beaten, you have trauma, you were raped. Things happen to your body that no longer work the way they originally did prior to those occurrences. Trauma happened. Don't sell yourself down the river. Explain those things as to why you have pain.
I got it.
All right, good
It's
sir.
so awesome to talk to you.
You as well, good sir. I'm pleased to hear somebody who's as bright as you and as strong as you. And I just want to point out to you, you have two paths going forward. If you are approved, you have the option of where you will disappear and basically nobody will know what happened to you. And then option 2 is you'll actually go out and help other people that have been through the trauma that you have. I hope you choose to help other people. And here is why. The fact that you made it to the hearing is rare for people with your impairments. And I know that you've had help, and I know that you kind of understand the worth of that. But imagine if you didn't have just 2 of those things, you would have never made it this far. So you could be a source for future people with those impairments that act like your girlfriend does right now. And those are all positive key factors that, let's call it like it is, they don't grow on trees. They're not available everywhere, you know. Yeah. So, good sir, have a wonderful night. I will catch you later.
Thank you so much for your compliments. You made me feel likable. That's a wonderful feeling.
Excellent. Me too. You made me feel good too. So that's good. That's good. Oh, good. Good, sir. I'll catch you later. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, that was really good. That was a more rare type of impairment. And that actually falls into high-level aggression, so much to the point of a blackout, so much to the point where the brain actually erases what's going on. It's rare. Those are individuals who, in my opinion, are a very high level of severity potential because they are homicidal and suicidal. And the way they protect themselves is by learning speech patterns of other humans and using those speech patterns to make themselves sound likable, or like how they can interact with people and sound familiar and things like that. There's actually a whole science behind that of mimicking successful people. And that science of mimicking successful people is what the gentleman right there uses to go ahead and seem normal. The reality is that he's not normal. He realizes it. And going forward, this hearing, hopefully the claim is prepared well, he'll be able to win it, because I really hope he can help other people. And the reason why is that group of people, they either go forward with life, or they really lose connection with humanity. And that's when things that are not okay to our human standards become more acceptable to them, and the action to do them. So anyway, guys, you have an absolutely wonderful night. I'll catch you a little bit later. Attorney Walter Knott, disabilityresolution.com, spaceconstitution.com. Thank you so much for coming. I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.